Don't listen to it. Crows are all liars. I know a story about a crow.
I hate your stories.
I know a story about a boy who hated stories. I could tell you about Sir Duncan the Tall. Those were always your favourites.
Those weren't my favourites. My favourites were the scary ones.
Welcome everyone, I'm a lady of Westeros, and today we will be going over some of the most recent updates regarding Season 3 of House of the Dragon. These reports were shared by Ryan Condal on March 10th, and he gave an exciting update sharing that the production of Season 3 of House of the Dragon would start in a couple of weeks. This means that it should start around late March, early April of 2025. Condal has confirmed that the script has been written and everything is ready to go, and the creative team is preparing for what he describes as a mind-boggling season in terms of scope and scale. So we're going to dive into that real quick, so stay tuned and let's get into the predictions of Season 3 of House of the Dragon and what little we already know. So there are a couple of key highlights that we will be hitting on that were reported. One of them is that Season 3 will feature 4 major events that are adapted from Martin's Fire and Blood. There will also include a unique character-driven concept episode that breaks from the traditional structure of House of the Dragon and promises a fresh narrative approach. We're going to get into this. The next one is that the production is expected to run through late fall of 2025. And so with that, we can kind of project that the release of Season 3 should be around summer of 2026. They kind of have a pattern, so that's what we're kind of hoping for. And then there are the few returning cast members, such as Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra, Matt Smith as Daemon, Olivia Cooke as Alicent. They will be returning and will be joined by major characters, though most are speculative details about who these newcomers could be, but they're like kind of keeping all that under wrap. And I'm sure we'll get like little release videos and some of the spoiler stuff that people do. I'm not sure if you guys are all interested in that. I try not to do too much of that kind of thing, but I'm doing news today, baby. So, but this follows the update that earlier released about the season opening of that the season would open with the Battle of the Gullet, because in Season 2, I think it was supposed to be like 8 episodes, and then because of writer's strike, funding, HBO, Martin, Condal, who knows, okay? But whatever reason, we didn't get the full 8 episodes and we only got 6. In that last episode, it kind of left us like wanting, really like, wow, this is going to be great. And then it was the end.
That's it. That's it? That's it.
There were supposed to be 2 more episodes, and the Battle of the Gullet was supposed to be one of those. So that'll be one of the main things I'm sure that we're going to get in the upcoming season, So with the Battle of the Gullet, it should be really good. But Rhaenyra is supposed to take on a more active role, possibly like wielding a sword and fighting on Dragonback, which in Fire and Blood, that didn't really go down that way. But I kind of let it go because, like, winners write history. That's how it kind of goes in the real world. The losers aren't we're not keeping track of what they say. It's what the winners say. So in Martin's world, it's like secondhand, third-hand accounts. People that weren't even around are telling these stories and writing them down, the maesters and all that good stuff. So it gives some leeway for HBO and Ryan Condal and the creative team on HBO to kind of play with a few things. And hopefully they don't play too much with a few things, because there are a few characters that I would really be upset if they don't show up. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But it looks like it might be an interesting Season 3, and I'm excited. So we're going to go into a little bit more, but there will be potential spoilers ahead for season 3 of House of the Dragon. And if you don't want to watch spoilers or the potential for spoilers or whatever, like, back out now. I understand. No hard feelings. Love you guys. And for those that want to stay, let's dive into what's potentially going to happen in season 3 of House of the Dragon. So again, spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to be spoiled, back away now. For those of you who are staying, let's do this. So while the explicit details of the 4 major events that are planned for season 3, again, have not been told by Ryan Condal or HBO, George hasn't mentioned anything on his blog website, okay? But again, because of Fire and Blood and where we are and everything, from season 1 up through season 2, we again can kind of guess what's going to happen. And the Battle of the Gullet is going to definitely be like the biggest thing to start with. I don't know if it will be like episode 1 and just boom, we're beginning the war, or if it'll be like a slow, cold opening or something where we do a little slow walk. And then at the end of episode 1, it's like there's the ships coming together. War's about to really go down in the Gullet. And then in episode 2, we pick up with all-out madness and a massive sea battle that's going to like blow everyone's mind, I think. The visuals alone really should be good. House of the Dragon has done such a good job this last 2 seasons on the visual. It was so nice to be back in Westeros and seeing all the different dragons and the costumes and the set. It was awesome. They've always done a good job on the visual. So excited to see this big battle. So I think that the second big event out of the 4 that Ryan Condal said are going to happen, it has to be like, I think, the fall of King's Landing. In season 2, Rhaenyra and her forces were poised to strike. She had made her deal with Alicent, and the city was supposed to be pretty much laid open for her to come in and like take over, because Aegon's not able to do anything, and Aemon's Aemon. He don't need to be ruling. He's crazy. So everything's ready. She's reconciled with Daemon. She's got her army coming. You've got the Northerners that are marching south. You've got the Vale's army ready to rock. You've got 7 dragons now that they have their dragon seeds, that compared to the Greens, only 3. Aemon, oh, hey, kitty. I see you. Sorry, my kitty. Hi. But they have 3 dragons. And so Rhaenyra she's ready. She's going to do this. And so she is, in the book Fire and Blood, she does take King's Landing. And it's going to happen. And I think that will be maybe a good episode like 3, that could work. And as she takes King's Landing, her and Daemon are going to come in with their dragons along with their dragon seeds. Hopefully Nettles will be there, and they will overwhelm the city's defenses. What are they going to do? And the people, the Gold Cloaks and all them, they still love Daemon. We saw that with the Blood and Cheese episode, okay? There are plenty of people that are still loyal to not Melisandre, Melisandre. I can't even say her name. And Daemon and even Rhaenyra, there are those that are still there, loyal. And so they'll have them on their side, kind of, and they're going to take the city. And King's Landing is going to be theirs. And Aegon's already gone. Loras has already taken him and to go like hide low, lay low for a while and hide until he gets better and can like take the throne, which that comes into play later. I said spoilers, y'all. If y'all don't know the story by now, I hope you enjoy me telling you all what's going to happen. So Rhaenyra, she takes the Iron Throne. She sits the Iron Throne. This event, though, involves dragon battles over the city, political upheaval, and dramatic moments for Rhaenyra's character, making it a major spectacle, and likely a candidate for, like I said, episode 3 in the whole grand lineup. And it should be pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be like major. Again, I think the Gold Cloaks and a lot are going to be loyal. Alicent had already planned to open the gates. I think it's not going to be the Battle of the Gullet. But number 2 in my lineup is definitely the Fall of King's Landing. Later in Fire and Blood, we have the storming of the Dragon Pit. And I could definitely see that as potentially number 3 in the 4 events that Ryan Condal said were going to happen. As Rhaenyra rules King's Landing, things begin to unravel fairly quickly for her, mostly due to her own paranoia, I think, and the taxation and just sheer unrest because there's been more. Things are unstable, okay? You get food lines that aren't getting taken care of. Wagons aren't coming to the capitals easily. There's been blockades. There's been awfulness. There's been riots in the street. People are scared and hungry still. And now we have Rhaenyra, and it's easy to blame her at that point. And then Batacat, what are you doing? You're acting insane. Will you stop? Have you been eating catnip? Maybe. Well, chill out. Animals, right? So, storming of the Dragon Pit. As Rhaenyra's rule begins to unravel around her, and then there's the potential for, or not the potential, we know that Helaena at some point is going to off herself, okay? I'm not sure if that's how that's going to go, or if someone's going to be the one that gives her a little nudge. I don't know. We're going to have to see. The books say that, she gets so depressed after everything with little Jaehaerys and all that. And as a mom, man, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine dealing with that. Um, and so who knows if she's going to spiral into depression, or if it's dragon dreams that lead her to do it, or whatever. But the people aren't happy with that. It's Helaena, sweet Helaena, who has lost her child. They grieved with her. Okay, they feel a connection to Helaena, and so that would be a big spark that triggers the storming of the Dragon Pit. And then you have the crazy fanatic, the shepherd, who's a one-armed guy, and I think they maybe hinted at him in the one episode in season 2 where Alicent and Helaena and the riots happen, and they throw the fish at Alicent and call her Queen of Fishes, and the guy gets his arm cut off by one of the King's Guard at that point. And I think he may end up being the shepherd. And this crazy guy leads a mob of fanatics to the Dragon Pit, and they overwhelm it, and they end up killing many, if not most, of the dragons in that the Targaryen family holds. They're are the ones that Vhagar gets out. It's Vhagar. You ain't gonna take on Vhagar. She ain't even there. But they end up killing Syrax and Traxxas and Dreamfire, and it's going to be a very traumatic event. Watching Meleys and Queen Rhaenys die. Rhaenys was sad enough, but it was a dragon that broke my heart. This poor innocent creature, she didn't have anything to do with that. And so watching these dragons get killed as they are chained and held captive within this dragon pit that was supposed to be a refuge for the Targaryen dragons, and this mob of angry, hungry peasant, or not even, or peasants, citizens, whatever, they overwhelm it and kill them. And Rhaenyra and her children are like, oh my god. And the one, which one is it? Jace, Lucerys, and Joffrey. Prince Joffrey, he is upset and can't believe this is what they're doing. So he goes to Mount Syrax, and that's Rhaenyra's dragon. It ain't even his dragon, and he tries to mount it, and Syrax is they say, having none of it, you ain't my rider, and kind of throws him off, and then gets got herself. And so Rhaenyra sees this, she witnesses this, and then she ends up fleeing to Dragonstone and leaving the Iron Throne open. And I'm not sure how they're going to play it in House of the Dragon, because like I said in the beginning of all this, winners write history, and they're the ones, Aegon's people and the council and the Grand Maesters and all those who we on the Maesters pretty much know that they don't like House Targaryen. They ain't never liked House Targaryen, really. So they're the one writing the story, so who knows how this is really going to go. But Rhaenyra is going to end up witnessing yet another one of her children die, her dragon die, all these other dragons die. She has to give up the Iron Throne for her life and for the life of her um, only son remaining, little Aegon, Aegon the Younger is what they call him, because there's, Alicent's son Aegon the Second, so call him Aegon the Younger. Anyway, but she flees, and this could really, I think, fit in with one of Ryan Condal's 4 major events that could happen in season 3, because we're going to have to tie this up together soon. There's not going to be like one more season after season 3, so season 3 is going to be just kind of like you said, mind-boggling. The 4th event on my list of potentials that could be considered for Ryan Condal's 4 big things that are going to happen is the battle of the God's Eye, above the God's Eye. It's an epic battle, again, with dragon on dragon. It's what we do in the Dance of the Dragons. But it's between Daemon Targaryen, rider of Craxes, and Aemon Targaryen, rider of Vhagar, over Harrenhal's Lake, the God's Eye. In Fire and Blood, it is a legendary confrontation. Daemon is like hanging out at Harrenhal, waiting on Aemon, just waiting, and cuts like marks into the weirwood tree, marking each of his days that he waits. And it's like on the 13th day, Aegon shows up, or not Aegon, sorry, Aemon shows up with Alice Rivers, and I'm curious to see how that goes. Okay, season 3 on Alice Rivers, and I'm curious. She's an interesting character. I'm not sure what they're doing with her quite yet, but he shows up with her, and then him and Daemon get on their dragons and go at it, and it should be really, again, a great battle. HBO has done such a good job, the creators and concept artists and all the people that do the stuff behind the scenes that give us this beautiful visual of these dragons in this show. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see Vhagar and Craxes going at it, and then having Daemon leap from Craxes and drive his sword into Aemon's eye. And I think there's going to be more to it than just a simple battle. If you've watched any of my other videos where I mentioned like the Three-Eyed Raven or Bran and where we're going to go with all that, I think that Daemon, he's going to survive. It's going to kill Rhaenyra, like, oh my God, break her heart, because they're like always back and forth, their love-hate thing with that some days I can't speak for just nothing. One of those fiery relationships where it's like all passion and stuff. That's their relationship. They're either like love each other or hate each other kind of thing. But there's love there. There's connection. There's history. There's bond. And when Daemon goes down with Aemon and is assumed to be dead, it's going to like just break poor Rhaenyra. She's like at this point lost everything for the Iron Throne, for the prophecy that her dad had been speaking to her. And to see it all start to crumble, she's going to be like starting to doubt herself. But with Daemon, I think that truly he's going to fall. Aemon dies. Dragons die. But Alice Rivers is there. And I think that Alice is going to like take Daemon onto the Owl of Faces, and the Green Men are going to be there, and they're going to whisk Daemon to the Children of the Forest somehow, and he's going to be the next Green Seer, okay, before Bloodraven. I'm just saying it, okay? I am totally calling it on YouTube, and when it happens, I'm going to be like, I knew it. But I think that's going to be a great episode, and I think that would be a great way to finish season 3, ending it with Daemon's fight, and you're like, oh my God, Daemon's dead, and you're weeping, and you're like, oh my God, Rhaenyra, poor Rhaenyra, yay, he killed Aemon. And then you see Alice pull a wounded Daemon out of the lake, and the Green Men show up with their big old horns and their antlers, and that's all they have to do. And you never see Matt Smith again. But you know what just happened. That's going to be a great moment. And that would be a fantastic way to end season 3 of House of the Dragon. So, why these 4, right? Well, these events align with a timeline after season 2. and match Condal's hint about scale and narrative weight, the Battle of the Gullet, the fall of King's Landing, the scale of Rhaenyra's campaign, the escalating of it all, coming to a head with the storming of the dragon pit, and then the battle of the God's Eye. It's like Rhaenyra will get what she wanted and then lose everything in the process. Um, Other notable moments within Fire and Blood are like, again, the death of Elena Targaryen, or the betrayal at Tumbleton, where the dragon seeds betray Rhaenyra. That's going to be terrible too to see, kind of, sort of. I really don't have much connection to offer, Hugh the Hammer at the moment. Excuse me. But that will be, key pivotal moments within potentially happening within season 3. But with that said, the exact pacing and adaptation choices and all that they can shift around. You never know what's going to happen. Again, this is just my thought on where it could go. Again, with where we left off, I'm hoping to get some of the Northerners. I want to see more Northerners, just even if they're like battling somewhere or marching. I want to see them arrive and do something. I'm partial to the North. I love the Starks. I do. But when Ryan Condal, the showrunner for House of the Dragon, describes season 3 as including a character-driven concept episode that breaks from the traditional structure of what they normally do within House of the Dragon, in that it will be a fresh narrative approach. Okay, he hints at something really unique happening, and typically for House of the Dragon, it follows a pretty much a linear timeline. You have multiple threads going on, and sometimes episodes weave together political intrigue and character development and interaction in large scale things like the Battle of the Gullet that's going to be coming, or the Battle of Rook's Rest. We'll have all of that, but this hits at something totally different. And I think that my idea for this interpretation is that Helena is going to have a key moment in all of this. It could be one of those episodes where, because, okay, let me back it up a little bit. I did do a video about Helena. Like, it's one of my first videos, so like, forgive me for the quality. I am trying hard to learn this technology stuff. Okay, I'm older. I hate it, but I did a video about Helena and her dreams, and Helena is special. I think that there's more to just dragon dreams and green dreams and all that. I know people have like mentioned, how did she like do the whole talking to Daemon and all that. I think that Helena is special. My son is autistic, and I've had 20 years to interact and see the quirks and the different ways that he moves through life and sees life and feels things. And sometimes it can really be on such a much more intense level than what we feel things. Normal people. I hate even using that because, like, who the heck's really freaking normal? Autism he's great. But it's a different way of seeing the world around you. And I think with that, Helena, a lot of the different mannerisms and quirks that she portrays, the obsession with bugs and knowing so much about them, the don't touch me. I don't think it was just because it was Alicent and she don't like her mom. Alicent's not a great mom, but don't touch me. My son didn't like to be touched for the longest time. It was a hard thing to deal with as a parent. You want to like hug your kid, but don't touch me. Have a stranger touch him. He fell out in the middle of a dance floor at a wedding one time when he was little. A lady came up and just touched him as we were all out there dancing, and he fell to the floor because it went right through him. She touched him. Different things with Helena. When Daemon Valerian gets it by Daemon, Helena's immediate reaction wasn't just like, oh my God, shock. It was the covering of the ears, the instant tensing, and then even Alicent is a bad mother. she knew this was about it. Just immediately to Helena. There are so many different things about her that make me really believe that she is very autistic. She's on the spectrum. And I think because of that, her dragon dreams are amplified. I think that perhaps there's something in the castle as well, because in another release update kind of thing, Ryan Condal mentioned that there will be some new spectacular artifact item thing that has kind of been anticipated by fans and speculated over, but never seen, that will show up this season 3 of House of the Dragon. It could be like the glass candle or something, okay? Or a weirwood crown from ancient times, or something that Helena has in her possession, that along with her personal mental thing, her autism, amplified with this special unique item and her natural dragon dreams ability, she's like on a whole new level of green seer dragon dream level. So with that, I think the thing that he was talking about, it could be really cool to see it through Helena's perspective, of Helena walking through an everyday, whatever's going on during this episode, be it the Rhaenyra has conquered the King's Landing and has taken the throne, and Helena is just like moving through her day with her children, the ones she has left, or before the thing even goes down. Just sometime it's going to be Helena, and you're seeing her go through her day, and as she's walking through the corridors of King's Landing, maybe they could have the shifting of the visual in front of her, where it goes from the present to the past to future events. It could be a really unique way to show how Helena walks through the world, how she sees things unlike anyone else, how she can be able to just constantly whisper prophecy after prophecy, and no one really gets it because they kind of ignore her because she's a little quirky. She's a little autistic. And so they kind of like put her to the side and think that, she's a little special, she's eccentric. We love her. But it would be really, I think, a really cool way to do an episode focused solely on on Helena, the one character, and the perspective view that she has as she goes through life, seeing visions all day long, seeing the world around her adapt and change as she just walks through time and space, like literally, as she's just going about her day, walking and weaving and going through this big network of time and bumping into maybe all kinds of different things. It could be a very cool episode. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm like totally going off my rocker here. But I think that would be a really cool way to do that particular episode that he's talking about in these update, spoiler, whatever things on March 10th that Ryan Condal was talking about. And I think it would be a really cool way to bring Helena's character together, and then maybe even have her like walk right off the balcony on Maegor's Holdfast and impale herself onto the spikes below, because she knows there's no escaping her destiny. She knows that these visions, they are real, no matter if she understands if it's now, then, or when, okay? She knows. And maybe she thinks that she's just experiencing a future vision and walks off and impales herself. I don't know, but I think it could be a really cool way to show Helena, give her the place she didn't really have in the book. Because in the books, you don't really, she's like sad. You have a sad character pretty much. She's like worse than Sansa Stark. They abuse this poor girl and neglect her. And then she's dead. And so I think it would be a good way to pay homage to this really cool character, this very good actress that has portrayed Helena, to give this viewpoint of hers. And it would be a very magical and surreal episode, like Harrenhal, but on steroids. It could be really cool. I'm going to try to wrap this up really good and really quick. I hate keeping everyone here too long. But there are a few highly anticipated roles that are expected to appear within season 3. There's Daeron Targaryen, the son of Alicent Hightower and King Viserys. He's their fourth child, and he rides the dragon to Serion, and he's going to have a key role within season 3, I'm sure, and I'm really excited to see him and his dragon. It's supposed to be a very pretty dragon. There is also potentially Dalton Greyjoy, the Red Kraken. They mentioned him once in like season 2, where maybe we'll like get together with the Red Kraken and have him help out. We could always marry Alicent to him, right? And that's Alicent's like, and that's when Aemon's like, we'll go with the Triarchy, okay? But there's a chance that he will show up. But he is going to end up being a key supporter of Rhaenyra, or at least, maybe not a key supporter, but he will use this war to his advantage and be on Rhaenyra's side, and it should have a role within the Battle of the Gullet. So maybe we'll get him in like episode 1, and then again at the end of episode 1, it's like, oh, the battle's about to begin. In episode 2, all heck breaks loose and there's chaos and craziness, and the Battle of the Gullet happens, and you got Corlys Velaryon and Jace on his dragon and all this stuff going on, as well as the Red Kraken and the Ironborn fighting against the Triarchy. It could be very cool, and so we're hoping to get him. One of the big ones is Nettles. I know with Rhaena, it looks like Rhaena's going to get the dragon. I did a video, again, one of my first videos was about Nettles versus Rhaena for Sheep Stealer, and I go into it a little bit, and I mentioned how I really think that maybe Rhaena will just get hurt, because she's already been like burnt almost before and hurt. As Rhaenyra said, we don't want her trying to claim a dragon. It didn't go well last time. Maybe it won't go well this time, and that will force her to stay in the Vale a little bit and do some of the Vale things that her character does do in the books, and it's more of a key role with her political maneuvering within the Vale and keeping allies going there for Rhaenyra's cause versus being a dragon rider. And we want to see, what is it, Moon Dancer or something like that, the little bitty pink dragon that she is supposed to hatch with the dragon eggs. Okay, fingers crossed that's what happens. And then there's a girl in the Dragon Seed episode. She's got her dark skin and the big, beautiful, like afro thing going on. And you see her getting onto the boats with Hugh the Hammer. There's a picture of Hugh and her like walking toward the ships with some other people, and then you don't ever see her again. I'm hoping that like as the ships got to Dragonstone, she's like, man, I ain't a dragon seed. I just wanted to get the heck out of there because everyone in King's Landing's hungry. So she goes to Dragonstone, and Sheep Stealer's mad because darn it, Rainy, too many RHA. Okay, Rhaena done made him mad, and he's left the Vale, going back home to Dragonstone, and that's where he finds his young girl walking along the beach, going to the little town that's on Dragonstone. You never like see it in the show or anything, but there's a little town there, so she's going to go hang out there. And on her way there, here comes Sheep Stealer, and there's some sheep nearby, and she's like, here's the sheep, don't eat me, eat it. And they like bond somehow because she has Valyrian blood, or maybe she's Leaf, who knows. But I am so fingers crossed that we will get Nettles. No offense to Rhaena, okay, I want Nettles, okay. There's so much storyline that could potentially be lost if they cut Nettles. But I can also understand if they're trying to hurry the story along, not do too much walking, that maybe they feel they need to cut Nettles out and give that story to Rhaena so that they don't have to waste time on that part of Daemon's story before we get to the God's Eye and that whole big battle. Maybe that's why they're doing it. It's the only reason I can like think of when they would like deprive us of Nettles. So fingers crossed, Rhaena just like makes him mad, and he leaves and goes and finds his real rider, Nettles. So fingers crossed, we will get a couple of really cool new characters brought into season 3 of House of the Dragon. So season 3 is supposed to be an 8-episode run and released in 2026. Hopefully, at the beginning of 2026. But we should have the Battle of the Gullet. We should see the fall of King's Landing and several other large-scale events. Also mixed in with returning characters, new characters, and a lot of politics and craziness at play. Um, Condal's focus on the major new characters alongside familiar ones that we've grown to know and love suggest a balance between fresh and old. Um, Hopefully keeping up with the book characters and things like that that we can hope to see. Characters like Nettles and again Dalton Greyjoy, and it would be cool to see some of them. Um, However, they have veered off here and there with things like Rhaena potentially getting Sheep Stealer instead of Nettles and giving her Nettles' arc, which would be weird because I know Targaryens be doing the incest thing, but some of the stuff that they say went on with Daemon and Nettles, if they gave that to Rhaena, it'd be like extra, extra weird, okay? I hope they don't do that. And it could truly alter the whole thing with switching people around. I hope they give us Nettles. But here's hoping, okay? So if you're curious about more rumors or want to go into deeper dive about like X chatter or web updates on what's coming on season 3 of House of the Dragon, potentially Junk and Egg that's coming out real soon. I'm so excited. Can't wait to do that. Y'all let me know, okay? I don't know what all you guys want to see really. So if you want me to do like spoiler stuff like this where you may potentially learn things that are going to happen in season 3, let me know, all of us have read the books and I will try to make sure that I again, give spoiler warnings. I don't want anyone spoiled rotten, okay, and getting upset with me. So y'all just let me know in the comments and all of that. And until next time, keep those candles lit and those fires burning because you never know what you might see dancing in the flames. Bye.